Welcome to the Ascend Your Success podcast. Whether you're just starting out or are a veteran looking to grow your business, you're in the right place. Join us to learn how to achieve financial freedom while working and living life on your own terms. Hear valuable insights, strategies, and interviews with successful entrepreneurs. Get ready to achieve the success you've always dreamed of. Ready? Let's go.
What's going on, guys? My name is Wyatt Reed, and this is the Ascend Your Success podcast. And today I got my business partner, Jacob Ninan, and a friend of ours from Specialized Trust Company, Amanda Holbrook, to come talk to us. We're going to do some co-education on some things that Amanda and us love to talk about. And so strap in, get your notepad and your pen, and let's get rocking and rolling. Amanda, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself before we get rolling?
Yeah, so I appreciate the introduction and hugs all around and everybody listen for having us on for our co-education special today. Yeah, so I'm Amanda Holbrook. I'm with Specialized Trust. I've been doing self-directed IRAs and 4Ks for over 15 years. I know you can't tell by these baby cheeks, but I've been in this industry a very long time. My specialty is I help anyone from your friends, family to businesses, family offices, basically pay less taxes and invest in what they know within their retirement accounts. So when you hear like, what the heck does she do again? Just think diversification, right? I help you take control over your own darn money to invest in what you know versus what somebody else is telling you or forcing you to do.
So I think it'd probably be smart to let's take a quick step back because I know people are going to be listening to this and be like, well, what in the world does this have anything to do with real estate investing, right? It has everything to do with real estate investing, first of all. But if you've heard me and Jacob talk or you follow us for any time now, you know that we just started a 506c. We're fixing to start hard money lending. We've actually already started. We've done several loans now. We're in the middle of raising capital to be able to do that and fund that business. And so we thought it was important because we started off bootstrapping. We started off with the people we know, love, and trust, raising capital. And once we hit that, we figured out that there are a lot of people out there that have money sitting in old 401ks, old retirement accounts, things like that. And they will get penalized if they take that out and just give it to us, right? But we can turn around and we can connect them with someone like Amanda, and she can help get around all of that stuff and allow us to be able to use that to invest in real estate. And so I've probably done a terrible job at explaining how that works, but I was trying to be as simple as possible. But yeah, so this is for you guys that are listening that may just be getting started. It's so important that you understand that your job is to be finding leads for finding houses, right? And to be finding money. And this is where a lot of the money is going to come in at once you get started raising capital at a high level. So sorry to take that time, but I think it needs to be explained. So will you tell us kind of what does that even look like? What is a self-directed IRA, or if you got something to lead up to that with if we're looking at a house to fund, talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay, so I'm going to start with like the macro to micro for you guys and keep this super simple because most of you listening here are used to, insert big bank name here, right? And you have things called 1K, an IRA, an HSA, a TSP, a 403B. These are all types of retirement accounts, but they will say, all right, you see all those options on your screen? Pick them yourself. Add a girl, add a boy, and that's self-direction. That's not self-direction, guys. Like, insert sound effect here. Like, that is not self-direction. Self-direction is when you can take those same types of accounts from those big banks and move them over here to a truly self-directed custodian. That's what we do. And that allows you to invest in what you know. So instead of think of it like in your kids, right? You're stuck in this little sandbox and you can only play with the toys in that sandbox. But you're watching like the real estate dudes go up and down the swirly slide and the swings and the monkey bars. And you're like, I want to go do that stuff too. I know that stuff. I know how to do that. Well, this is what allows you to invest in what you know. So you don't just get that little sandbox full of toys that are on your screen. You can go do that flip, that rental. You can, and what we're going to talk about today, most importantly, especially for all of you that are raising capital, there is power in being the bank. Everybody on here is looking for money, right? I'm going to assume everybody's raising their hand in their car. Oh. When you're looking for money, yeah, there's cash in savings accounts, blah, 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 blah. Do you know how much in retirement accounts? $1 trillion and growing with a T, right? So there are tons of funds in retirement accounts. When can you touch the money in retirement accounts? When you're in retirement or 59 and a half. I don't know where they came up with that age from, but that's when you turn 21 all over again in the US, right? You can access your funds. So in between time, it's your job, more importantly, to make sure that sucker is growing for you in a way that you know and that you're comfortable with. Because majority are throwing money in the stock market, right? Wyatt, do you have control over the stock market? Jacob, you got control over the stock market?
Absolutely not.
Me neither. And I don't like to say I don't have control. I ask my
Absolutely.
husband. I'm joking. But that's where, we're conditioned to go out, get the job, put money in a 401k, buy, hold, hope, and pray. It's there at the end of the day. There's no other way. Yes, there is. So this should be like that aha moment. Okay. So if you have, because I've met a couple of different folks in your guys' community. They come from all walks of life. I've had some that were, retired firefighters, or were, police officers. They had something called a 457B. Yeah, that's their 401k, right? Military, you guys all know this term. It's a TSP, Thrift Savings Plan. If you are no longer active, you can self-direct that over into a self-directed account. Okay. If you were a teacher or in the medical, you might have a FB, drop plans, pension plans. These are all types of accounts that can be moved over and invested in real estate, invested in a debt fund. So does everybody listening get when you say debt fund or lending on flips? Everybody that's listening gets that, right?
Hard money lending.
Well, in case they don't know, it's essentially we're investing in other people's real estate debt. Most everybody in the audience would know what a hard money lender is.
Okay. So think of it when you're talking to someone about their potential retirement account, okay? You're telling them, look, instead of being in this roller coaster of the market, I'm going to give you the opportunity to be the bank, okay? Who holds the cards when you want money?
The bank.
The bank, right? So that is putting you as an IRA holder or that person that you're talking to in a position of power, right? They are now the bank. Why do banks in this country lend on real estate? It's tangible.
Yes, yeah.
It's insured, right? Let me think. What are the 3 basic needs of every human being on the planet? Shelter? Wait, that's real estate. We're in a housing crisis right now. There's not enough out there. So if you can be in a tangible asset with your retirement account that is backed by a tangible property and has an insurance policy, I think that one gets forgotten a lot. What's the worst case scenario that's going to happen? Doomsday, guys. And I miss positive pants. So I want to know everybody know listening, I miss positive pants here. But when you get into any investment, including real estate in any walk of life, you have to know what your pros and cons are, the old school T-chart. So when banks do a loan on a property, what's the worst case scenario?
They got to take
Lender
it back.
doesn't pay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So what does the bank do? They takes it back.
Yeah.
That's the collateral, right? That is your safety net. That's the I know where you live clause, right? They're going to take the property back. Okay. In the stock market, so go back to your retirement accounts. If that happens, somebody goes on, on Insta or whatever, spouting it off at the mouth, and you see the stock market go down and you've lost thousands, what's your recourse?
Pull that money out, what you got left.
Yeah, you just took it in the teeth, man. There is no recourse. Yeah, it's damn it, I should have moved my money before that happened.
Yeah.
That's usually the knee-jerk reaction.
Okay, it's like I like to tell people usually is you're not going to wake up in the middle of the night and see that someone moved the house. It's still sitting there, so there's that form of security. Obviously, there's different things that can happen.
Unless you live in Atlanta.
Yeah, unless you live in Atlanta, the house might
I'm
get
just
it might
kidding.
get moved in the middle of the night. I
Now you
don't
have
know.
a houseboat.
Well, hey, One thing I wanted to circle back to, you mentioned that there's roughly $34 trillion sitting in retirement accounts, you know, across this country. You may not know this, and there may not actually be an answer or statistic out there, but I feel like I hear all the time that there's a lot of money sitting that no one's actually watching or doing anything with. By your estimation, like how many clients or people do you get that come to you that until they worked with you, like their money was just kind of sitting there, they didn't really know what was going on with it?
Yeah, I mean, I can't give you like a straight statistic, but I can tell you that there is a lot of what I call fear-based movement, where they put stuff in cash or they put stuff in something that's super conservative because they don't know that there's a better way. They're talking to their like professionals in the financial world, and they're like, they can't stomach that volatility of the ups and downs. You guys hear the term recession proof, right? So what do? Pivot to something like a bond that's more secure, right? It's backed, treasuries, et cetera. But, that's not hedging inflation, right? That's just going broke a little bit slower, so they don't know that there's an alternative. They're getting told, weather the storm, it's cyclical, it's the long game, right? I mean, we've all heard these terms, where I think with as far as account holders, you just need to stand up for yourself and say, well, that's not acceptable. Like, there's got to be something else. What else you got? Like, don't take that no for an answer. Or if you're not satisfied, I mean, one of the things for all of you that are raising capital out there, ask the question, whether it's in person or, one-on-one meetings on that phone call or even on social media. How happy are you with your retirement account returns? What do
Most
you think?
people I talk to, let's be honest, most people I talk to can't even tell me what their returns are.
Yep.
I've had a lot of folks that are like, I don't even know where my old retirement account is.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's like set it and forget it, until they get to like the couple I just talked to this morning. They're within 5 years of R&D and are just now learning what a Roth is. Scary stuff. No one's looking out for number one more than number one. Okay. Like, these are what you owe yourself questions to ask, right? And figure out that there's a better way. Um, I'll give you some stats here. Like, so your average retirement, like average, like avatar, your average 35-year-old has 3 abandoned 4Ks to average about 150K.
Wow.
Okay. So think about that, because I know when you think retirement, you kind of skew older. I think all of us do in our minds, right? It's just that fixed mindset, right? Until we wake up and realize, oh, what we once thought were older is now us,
That's right.
right? Like, oh, crap, but we,
Yeah,
we
for
still feel
sure.
like we're kids.
Right. It's cold hard
Well, I
truth.
can't laugh at that yet. So
True. True answer.
no, I mean that's a valuable point. You and I had a conversation a little over a week ago, and we had talked about that, and lo and behold, I ended up connecting with a friend who's ends up having an old 401k account that they're not doing anything with. They're north of 35. I think they're a little over 40, but they had about 100 and almost $130,000 just sitting, not doing anything. And, now they're going to be working with us with our fund. But it's just you saying that literally like a week later, that ends up being a topic of conversation. Lo and behold, they have that account. So it's kind of crazy that amount of money is sitting around and people aren't doing anything with it. You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty wild. One thing I did want to obviously we're on a real estate podcast. Everybody that's listening to this is somehow somewhat connected to real estate. So I think it goes without saying that self-directed IRAs, clearly you can invest in real estate. Give us a little bit more information about what types of real estate, indirectly, directly, passively, active, that kind of stuff. Obviously, for the sake of conversation, Fund Your Success is a debt fund, so that would be a passive way to invest your money. But just give us all the different avenues here.
Absolutely. And it's very much Pandora's box. I mean, so when you're thinking asset classes, passivity, you have, debt funds, multifamily, private placements, self storage, mobile home park. Those are all structured like that, all the way down to, your single family rentals, flips, your, BRRRR, seller financing. All of the creative stuff, you guys, you do in real estate can be done within a self directed account. Yeah, that's what I love about my self-directed, not my self-directed, but all of my real estate folks, y'all are creative. Like, I love a puzzle. Okay. And it's how can we get this deal done? How can we structure this deal? Like, those are the most fun conversations. Think of these as just like tax sheltered operating accounts. Okay. You can literally mirror what you're doing over here in the tax sheltered bubble. But the one thing I do want to make sure is clear, because I know I have my creative what ifers out there, and you all know who you are. Um, Amanda, what if I have an old K? Can I just lend it to myself in one of these things? No. Okay. So there's some rules here from our buddies at the 3-letter institution called the IRS. Okay. The IRS does not let you do what's called self-dealing. So you cannot lend directly to yourself. You can't say, "Hey, Amanda, I've got this cash cow of a quad over here in my backyard. Can I just buy it for myself so it's all tax sheltered and I don't pay capital gains on it when I sell?" No, you can't, because you already own that. You're benefiting today and not in retirement. The second, so I want all of you guys to be thinking of like a list of people that you can talk to, just like Jacob, you had that conversation. Make a list of 5 to 10 people, but not these ones. Up and down your family tree. Don't talk to those people. Why? Because they can't lend to you in their retirement accounts. So think of the family tree, the probably the school assignment we all did at some point. Your spouse, parents, grandparents, children, grandchildren, off limits, as well as any fiduciary to you. Cannot lend
Can I ask
to
you a
you.
question? What about to an LLC that you own? Can you do that?
Very creative question there, Wyatt. What if or Wyatt? I love you, man. Oh, not an LLC that you own 100%, because I get this challenge all the time. Well, technically, it's an entity, Amanda. It's not me. The IRS doesn't care. When they pull back the layers of that onion, you are where the buck stops. Now, I'll throw one back at you. If it's an entity that you own less than 50% of, and a combination of disqualified individuals counts too. So if dad was a partner, binder needs to be under 50%.
Mhm.
Would that be feasible? Yes, it could be. So this is where creativity and deal structure come in. That's one of, we'll say, the fun parts about our team. We'll get into that detailed,
Mhm.
nitty gritty conversation of how can we make this work? How can we make this deal work? And that's the fun part, right? Especially and you guys get to see this day in and day out. I see it from all walks, not just real estate, but when you can get creative with, for example, let's say you guys had a deal that you need a 200K for, and you've got, your, buddy from college has 100K, and then, it's like, crap, I still need another 100K. Your old colleague that you guys used to work together, that he left, he's got 100K. Could you partner those guys together on a deal? Sure. Like, it's creative deal structure, that's essentially a debt fund is a bigger version of that. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, so I want you guys to see like the growth of that. And that's where you guys having a debt fund is really what a lot of folks that are feeling that anxiety pressure of retirement are looking for, because it gives them that consistent, predictable return without having to go get another job.
Yeah, we get that.
So, yeah.
I want a passive return, but I'm going to flip houses. Like, well, that's not passive. That's active. Time difference, but go ahead.
So one question I have, I mean, before we get into the type of accounts, because I do want you to, with your infinite knowledge with this topic, I do want you to share all the different types of accounts that can be self-directed. But something you said about you're seeing more people with the self-directed IRAs that are going to debt funds and things like that. I mean, how much are you seeing people more interested in the private debt and the private equity these days? Like, is becoming super popular? Is there a specific reason?
Yeah, I think it's becoming super popular because there's a need for diversification when you see what the market has done. And there's a lot of fear-based movement of, hey, we need to get into something, but we have retirement, right around the corner. We want something that's consistent, predictable, and passive. Right. And that's where you guys fit right there in that category. And when you look at, I'll share something else with you. So there's over $100 billion out there in private money. Okay. That's how many are originated like in the US every year as far as loans, which is crazy. We're seeing banks kind of tighten up again. So I think that number is going to continue to increase. Somewhere between 8 to 10% of all residential deals have private money involved in them. You
Wow.
know, now I also see, just because you guys are at that forefront, I see that number increasing. Yeah, because I think, especially with things like this, the World Wide Web, all of, our networks and masterminds, the conversation is becoming more and more common. I think too, a lot of your average investor is taking more of an active stance in their own portfolio than they have in years past, than their relationship with the traditional advisor. And I say that with love too, because I work with a lot of independent advisors that would have something like this as an option for their clients. They're not just stock bond mutual funds. So I think those are, the factors that are playing in your favor. I think the solution, and I don't have the budget to go run like a Super Bowl ad. I don't think you guys do either. Tell me if I'm wrong. But it's from doing stuff like this and shouting from the rooftops of just, hey, did you know this is even an option? Pay yourself like your own, like respect yourself enough to have that conversation or that phone call and do the exploration. Worse, you're going to find out is like, yeah, I don't think this is a fit for me yet, but it will be someday. And you know what happens from that? You're going to talk to somebody else, just how you were talking to your buddy, and that little tree or spider web, I don't like spiders, but whatever way analogy you want to use there, it grows. And that's how, you're helping that person. Because Jacob, when you talk to your buddy, and this is for those of you that are raising capital out there, did you feel like you're asking for a handout?
No, absolutely not.
That you're asking for money? I find that's like a mindset piece. It's
I
like,
actually
no,
just had that conversation this morning with my wife. We were talking about, and I was saying that people that understand money, it doesn't feel like you're talking like you're begging for money. Like people that understand investing or at least have a clue and understand how money works, it's not like having that conversation. The people that think that way, we're never going to do any work. We're never going to do business with each other. So same thing we do in real estate. I'm not trying to brush anyone off. I'm not trying to skip past any important questions, but the quicker I can get to a no or a yes, basically we look at it as the quicker I can get to the no, the quicker I can get to the yes.
the next yes. Yep. No, completely agree. It's, like from my industry, because I don't push one investment over another. Like we can't, we'll lose our license. We're a passive custodian. We recommend endorsing to invest in spots. We're not towards SCBs. Da, 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 da. I forgot to do the radio voice disclaimer. Like, yes, that's a thing, but it's more of like, we provide that value, out there as far as like free education. Hey, did you know that's a thing? And it's not something for everybody. If you're like, to your point, if they can't make a decision, that is what self-direction is. It's making a decision.
Yeah.
So if that gives you just like a whole wave of anxiety, probably not your cup of tea. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you guys don't want to deal with it either. Neither do we.
Right.
When we think about what you self-direct, it's usually old 401ks and things like that. But can you broaden the horizon there and kind of share what types of accounts can be self-directed?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll put these in the show notes for everybody too, if you want to see like an actual list. Okay. So if you have an IRA of any kind, traditional, Roth, SEP, simple, these can all be self-directed. If you have an old employer's plan, so this could be an old KFB, 401A, TSP, drop plan, pension plan, these can all be self-directed. Okay. The key that I'm saying there is old employer's plan. That's the qualifying event. Now, if you are just that loyal W-2 employee and you've been with the same firm for 20, 30 years and you're not 59 and a half, can you move that money? Maybe, maybe. It's something called an in-service rollover, but we'd have to call your provider to see if they allow that and ask to see it in writing. Don't take customer service's word for it. Every 4K is made differently. Ones I will tell you that are most missed, inherited IRAs. You can self-direct. Those are huge. And there's an abundance of the transfer of wealth. You guys have all heard that. Health savings accounts. When you're a solopreneur, you're probably going on the marketplace or you're joining a co-op for your health insurance. You've got a high deductible health plan. Do yourself a favor and get a health savings account. It's a double dipper tax savings, and you can self-direct it. Education accounts for your kids. You can self-direct those. You can self-direct Roth IRAs for kids. And I know I gave you a whole slew of accounts, but this is where you go back and you take, almost inventory of like, where is my money and how can I get it working for me? And regardless if it's in retirement accounts or lines of credit, or if it's just sitting rotten in a savings account, not earning much, those are things that you need to assess. And that's what, like, when we have that like goals conversation, we help with that to see where you're at, how you're diversified. It's not all your eggs in one basket, but you owe it to yourself to find out that answer. Like, it should make your gut curdle if you are saying, like, if we're saying, hey, what's your retirement account earning? And you have no clue. Like, as soon as you're able, log in and figure out what you got going on.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
100%.
I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head there. I just wanted to make sure we covered that because I knew that there was a ton of different accounts that we don't talk about every day that people have. And, going back to the conversation you and I had about a week ago, you pointed out how some people will book a call with you thinking they can open an account with this, and they can, but then you discover that there's like 3 to 4 other avenues of other accounts that they currently possess or have that they didn't know about. Just through you just having a simple consultation with you, you're able to help them unlock 3 to 4 additional avenues to invest and make additional investments in money. So with that being said, regardless if you're on the fence about it or whatever, no matter how you want to invest it, how you want to direct it to what type of investments, I would highly suggest and encourage you guys to at least get on a phone call with Amanda or someone like Amanda who's a professional, understands these things, and they're going to ask you all the right questions that's going to
Mhm.
jog your memory or get your brain pumping to know, oh, well, yeah, I did have that. Or you're right, I did have this. And all of a sudden you went from thinking you have no way to invest to potentially several avenues to start investing and investing at a high level. With that being said, like that was just something that came up to me. Like when you said that people think they can only open one account and you find out that either them or through their kids or their family, there's multiple avenues. And I know you guys offer like a family plan as well. So instead of them the same amount per account, you give them a structure there. So that's also something for people to take a look at.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How do, how
Absolutely.
do people get
It
a
never hurts to have the conversation. I'm sorry, Wyatt,
No,
go
no,
ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say, how do people get a hold of you? But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I say it never hurts to have a conversation. I promise I don't bite. I make it fun. I break it down to a first grade level and try not to make it boring whatsoever. And literally, if you discover like, hey, I have an old 401k, you can literally have that unlocked and working for you in a deal in 2 weeks or less. This doesn't take forever. So I'll have a link to my
New
calendar in the
visitor.
show notes because I live and die by my calendar. But A Holbrook at IRASTC, like Sam Tango Charlie.com, and 505-514-0587. And you can always check us out at www.specializedtrustcompany.com. So thank you guys for putting all of this together. I think
Absolutely.
you're doing just a great service out there of just spreading the word on what you can do, inside and outside of retirement accounts, kind of a diversification of off of Wall Street and onto Main Street. So, hugs all around the riverside today. Okay.
Right. I love it. I love it. So maybe you guys are sitting there thinking, what in the world did I just listen to, right? Maybe you're just getting into real estate, trying to figure it out. I think the biggest thing for me to tell you to do is everybody should know what you do. Like, I mean, if you've never done a deal before, it's going to be really hard for you to go and find someone with an IRA and get them to, unless they know you, to get them to trust you to do that with, right? But you should be branding yourself. You should be journaling your way, your journey through real estate. And as you go, it gets much easier to talk to people. People actually come to you and they're like, "Hey, how can I invest in real estate? How do we do what you do?" And so, like, maybe you're a beginner and you're just getting started. We can help you out. We can help get you started on the right track. We can help show you what step one is, because I know that's the biggest questions that I get asked all the time. Where the heck do I even start? And so we can tell you step one, and we can hold your hand all the way through. So if you're looking for somebody like that, go to sendyoursuccess.com and fill out the application. We can help walk you through all that. But I'm going to do a little different this go around. Maybe you are more advanced. Maybe you have an IRA or a 401k or something like that. And you're like, man, I'd like to passively invest in real estate because I don't have the time to flip a house or I don't want to be a landlord. Well, if you're listening and that's you, go to fundyoursuccess.com or reach out to me and Jacob, and we'd love to talk to you either way on the education side or on the investing side. We'd love to talk to you any way, shape, form, or fashion that we can help you out. So I guess we'll see you guys on the next one.
Thanks, guys.
See y'all.
Thanks, Amanda.
Bye.